Brett Favre, a proclaimed Hall of Fame NFL Ironman, has found himself in the midst of yet another controversy. Favre has accolades that most great NFL quarterbacks would love to have under their belt. He's a three-time league MVP, a Super Bowl winner, and has 11 Pro Bowl appearances in 20 regular seasons, holding nearly every prolific passing record at his retirement. He is no stranger to success, as he is to controversy, however. In this video, I will detail how one of the greatest to ever do it in the NFL became the face of a government corruption scandal, costing a state millions. This story dates back years, and it is tough to pinpoint all of the details and never made headlines as it was just regular government corruption until Mr. Brett Favre was exposed to have been in on it.
Details now surrounding accusations that retired NFL quarterback Brett Favre used welfare funds to help build a new volleyball stadium at his alma mater, the University of Southern Mississippi, where his daughter played the sport. A former director of Mississippi's welfare agency, John Davis, has now pleaded guilty to federal and state charges that he conspired to misspend tens of millions of those welfare funds meant for the poorest families in what is the poorest state in the U.S. Text messages in a state court filing have shown Davis, Favre, and former Mississippi Governor Phil Bryant and others worked together to help secure millions in state money to build that stadium, which was a pet project of the former Super Bowl champion.
This story dates back years, and it is tough to pinpoint all the details. I've never made headlines as it was just regular government corruption until Mr. Brett Favre was exposed to have been in on it. The case also differs in many ways depending on what angle you look at it. Looking at this scheme close up, it simply looks like some government figures and sleazy non-profit officials embezzling millions of dollars in a corrupt order of events. Take a step back from the lower level corruption, and you'll find that the entire outline for the federal welfare system has been implicated. In order to get a sense of the scale, we must talk about a few of the cases involved. To start off, we must talk about Nancy New, who is practically the lower level mastermind of it all. Her and her son Zachary New ran a community education center in Mississippi and worked in cohorts with some power figures in the state government to set the community center as a front for the entire scheme. As a brief example, John Davis, the director of the Mississippi Department of Human Services, transferred tens of millions of dollars in temporary assistance money, meant for people who need the money to survive, to the Mississippi Community Education Center. This is entirely legal as long as this money benefits the community. However, the opposite was true. The money was taken by the New family, sent right back to Davis, his family, associates of New, including Favre and friends, enriching everyone involved in the process.
Times as Nancy New and her son admitted to their central role in the massive $77 million welfare fraud scheme. Nancy New rushing from a Hinds County courtroom moments after the founder of the now closed New Summit School in Jackson pleaded guilty to a long list of criminal charges in Mississippi's largest ever public embezzlement case.
Today is a good victory for the state of Mississippi and its citizens when you see a ruling that says that we will not tolerate the powerful preying on the weak.
Standing before Circuit Judge Faye Peterson Tuesday afternoon, New and her son Zachary pleaded guilty to 4 counts of bribing a public official, a half-dozen wire fraud charges, and fraud against the government. Prosecutors say the News bribed former Department of Human Services Director John Davis when they purchased him a Chevy Yukon SUV, gave Davis unlimited access to their American Express card, which Davis used to purchase first-class airfare and luxury hotel rooms. All the money spent on those purchases came from federal welfare dollars, which should have gone to some of the poorest residents in the poorest state in the nation. Nancy New could face 100 years in prison, her son looking at 75 years behind bars on the plea deal.
There are a bunch of cases just like this one, involving Ted DeBase, a former WWE wrestler known as the $1 Million Man. This scheme shows some incredibly wealthy people in the poorest state in the USA stealing money meant for the improvement of the underdeveloped communities in Mississippi. All in all, this resulted in nearly $77 million of misused welfare money headed to the rich and powerful. There's obviously a question we all have. How did Brett Favre become the face of this scandal? Favre's involvement with the misuse of temporary assistance money dates back to at least 2017. Favre had received around $8 million total from the government. $5 million was to go to building a, quote, volleyball and wellness center at his alma mater, USM, where his daughter played volleyball at the time. Under the law, TANF money is not allowed for construction. He also received $1.1 million to be put towards the constructions and grants for public appearances and speeches that were never made. The remaining chunk of the $8 million was transferred to Prevacus, a biomed company that Favre has a huge stake in. Favre's never-quit mentality stretches beyond the field as he reportedly requested even more money from the government.
Stuff coming up, I couldn't have been more appalled. Let's put this in its proper perspective. The golden boy, Brett Favre. I mean, remember him, Molly? Oh, look at him jumping to the arms of his offensive lineman. Oh, look at him falling down and flipping the ball underhanded. Here's the little kids in him. The game never leaves him. And everybody's applauding. Here you are in the state of Mississippi, involved in a scandal where you're bleeding money from potential welfare recipients. People who are poor and impoverished and struggling for every nickel and dime they have, scratching and clawing to eat, to have a roof over their head, to have clothes on their back, as recently to have water. This man is involved in a scandal where money is being taken from them. This is bad.